Today is Tuesday, June 25th, and we're recording the news early again, amidst a thunderstorm. So if we disappear abruptly, you won't see it, because this is pre-recorded.
Something else is different.
We're standing.
Oh, yeah.
Because Kristen went to sleep last time.
No. I did last time, but I'm awake now.
Oh. Yeah, because we're standing.
We're also trying something different with the mics, because I think my mic was the one that was the source of the hiss. Because we tried to RMA with Shure before, and they're like, all right, send us a sampled recording. So we did that, and they were like, sounds fine to us. So
YouTube.
Should have just put it down in a bucket of water.
Oh.
There you go. So I'm using a different mic this time, and they're using the other mics. We'll see how that goes. Might be terrible.
Last week, we broke a long trend. No Ajit Pie news. I think a lot of people felt bad about that. I know I did. But luckily this week, back on track.
Ajit Pai is still withholding facts about location data abuse from his own commissioners. So he testified before Congress that, yeah, everybody that's asked for it, we gave it to them. But then one of the Democratic commissioners was like, all right, here's a video of somebody requesting it, and here's written proof that somebody requested it. And I'm going to give you a week to correct what you said, because lying to Congress is a felony.
That was the Democrats in the FCC. So they're saying that, hey, I'm an FCC commissioner. You have to give me the information. And he's like, oh, we definitely will. And then a few weeks later, they're like, no, we didn't get anything. Not giving it to us.
How crazy is this? Like, how dysfunctional do you have to be?
Oh, well. Is it dysfunctional or is it
maliciously evil?
Completely by design, yeah. So, I mean, he knows how damaging that information would be. Come on.
He's like, was this wrong? Should we not have done this? Oh, wait, we're going to continue to do this. We don't care. It's like, let's turn this into a partisan issue. And it's like, this is not a partisan. This is just companies being terrible.
But those companies pay them, so.
Well, that's quite the accusation, Krista. Do you have some proof to back that up?
Just proof in my heart.
That's all we need, really.
Yeah.
For a while now, the big social platforms have been banning people. And they've been banning people, I think we can safely say, because of ideology. And a lot of people have said...
It's the wrong ideology.
Well, it's the one that they don't like. And people have said this is a First Amendment issue. But is it? Because these are private companies. Who gets to say whether it is or not? Well, here in the U.S., the Supreme Court gets to say.
The First Amendment constraints do not apply to private platforms, the Supreme Court affirms. Now, this was not about anything online. This is about New York. New York gave a nonprofit entity access to set the rules for public access, like public access channels or frequencies or something. And the nonprofit was like, you cannot say certain things on the air. And so there were some producers that did a thing that got some complaints. And the public access people, I guess, issued a fine or some kind of sanctions against the producers.
They might have not allowed them on the service anymore or something.
This was this wasn't really super cut and dry. It was 5-4 on the Supreme Court. It's like VCRs, video cassette recorders, were almost illegal 5-4.
Everything is going to be 5-4 from now on.
Yeah.
Kavanaugh wrote the decision. It was all Republicans on the 5, all Democrats on the 4.
So,
as we can expect.
Yeah, the 4 said that New York having the nonprofit do stuff meant that the nonprofit was acting like a government entity. So,
even with that argument, that wouldn't apply to something like Twitter or Facebook, though.
Yeah,
because there is no implicit. Yeah, so I don't think anybody will be satisfied. No matter which side of the fence you're on, people will still complain about this decision. But there is a Supreme Court decision, and you bet your ass that Facebook and Twitter just got a lot more bold about enforcing all of those, policies that they have.
Let Adpocalypse 4.0 commence. Starting with this channel.
Well, maybe not even Adpocalypse. Maybe just, it's like, oh, we don't want MAGA hats on Facebook. You're out. It's funny because we talk a lot about the risk of Huawei, right? What are they going to do to our undersea cables? What are they going to do? They're going to backdoor our stuff. The Ukrainians are constantly attacking and trying to take over our power grids.
Well, it's a good thing that Huawei doesn't make power grid equipment.
Yeah, and these evil, despotic governments keep attacking with hacking, and we have to defend against it.
Oh, wait. U.S. Cyber Command powers up attacks against Russia's electrical grid. So I'm reading this article, and in the back of my head the whole time is like, should this be on CNET? Should we be talking about this?
Yeah, I had that same thought. I was like,
should U.S. Cyber Command be issuing press releases that are like,
should we all know this? Yeah, I don't feel like I shouldn't know this.
They didn't quite do that. This was a kind of an accident that this was released. They didn't mean to put this out there. It was somebody, I think, just gave too much information or something like that. But they did admit that they have been given the authority, like you don't, in the past, something like this, which kind of seems like an act of war, would need presidential approval, like implicit presidential approval. But no, now you just need the, was it Department of Defense?
Yeah.
Defense Secretary?
Yeah, just the Secretary's signature is like, yeah, that sounds good. This operation seems fine. Now, they were quick to split hairs on this. They were saying, we're not attacking Russia's electrical grid. We are implanting our malware in Russia's electrical grid so that should the need arise, we can shut it down.
Yeah, I'm sure that if someone did that to us, we wouldn't see it as naked aggression.
Yeah. Oh, no. We're
Huawei.
very reasonable.
Couldn't you say that's what Huawei's doing?
Yeah.
Because no one's caught them doing anything. It's just that they might give the information to China.
They might be giving us dangerously insecure stuff as a means of cutting corners too. Like it's possible it's not malicious. It's possible. It's probably malicious.
We're all excited about deepfakes and what that might mean for the future of entertainment, but we're also worried.
Are we though?
We're worried. Have you seen the guy from Saturday Night Live where he was doing the? I mean, that's really entertaining. You know, when he's doing the Arnold, he just turns into Arnold. But we also have to worry about the implications in terms of not knowing what the hell is real, right? And we've talked about that before.
Don't we already have that problem?
Well, yeah, but it's only going to get worse, right? And we've proven with Facebook and Twitter that a lot of people will just believe whatever's in front of them. They have no ability to look at context or understand even sarcasm.
I knew it. This conspiracy theory is true.
Yeah, exactly. So Congress is finally, the light bulb is flickering, and it's like, wait a minute, could this affect us?
It's like a fluorescent bulb with a bad starter. It's like Congress is now creating a moral panic around deepfakes in order to change the Communications Decency Act, Section 230. This is the section of the Communications Decency Act that says that online forums are not responsible for what their users post explicitly, which...
Thank goodness for us.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy idea is, okay, deepfakes are hard to detect, and we have to assume that they're going to get better, so over time they will get harder to detect. But somehow it's going to be on YouTube to figure out if something is a deepfake, and if not, they might be in violation of the Communications Decency Act.
That's where Congress is headed, because gosh darn it, those plucky little bastards understand technology.
Yeah, it seems undue burden on the people who are hosting content, because
that's what Europe did.
They don't know.
I mean, literally, the copyright directive in Europe is literally this.
Yeah, which is why we should run screaming from it here in the land of the free. But it doesn't seem like that's what we're going to do. But some good news, although I feel like we've already reported that this has happened several times.
Yeah.
And every time it's just like, well, we did this part, but not this part. And but we're going to keep doing it for a little while. It's the same headline over and over.
House lawmakers demand an end to warrantless collection of Americans' data. So this is the House lawmakers are trying to defund this. But if you look at it, it says they want to stop the witting collection of Americans' data. And if you remember James Clapper's testimony before Congress, he was like, no, we do not wittingly collect any data on Americans. But then it came out that it's like we collect everything, and it just so happens that Americans' data is swept up in that. So the language here is offensive.
Yeah.
Also, it's the House, and we all know that the Senate is just going to bat that back in their face because McConnell guards it like a rabid dog,
like a snapping turtle,
and he's pro
down in the pond
security /
cauliflower
alphabet agencies.
Lettuce.
Remember that thing where Huawei lost billions of dollars, and they said, everybody owes us patent money. Well, Marco Rubio heard about that too.
There's a follow-up. Senator Rubio targets Huawei over patents. So, yeah, he's just going to town. He's like, wait a minute, what do you mean American companies owe you money for patents? That doesn't sound logical.
So he wants to add an amendment to that big defense spending bill that's being worked on that says if you're on the list, like if you're Iran or North Korea or Huawei, you cannot sue for patent infringement. You're basically outlaw in the eyes of the patent courts if you're on the list.
Wow, what an amazing and free public domain patent portfolio that's going to be opened up to the American public.
Well,
does this seem like China? Like some of the complaints that we had about China, it's like
that's
American
what I'm going to say.
industry.
Like, if we're going to be on a level playing field with China, don't we have to kind of do that? Because they don't care. Yeah, I don't know. It does. It makes every company have to live in fear of being put on that list because it will just put you out of business. So don't do business in China. I don't know. The housing crisis we've talked about out there on the West Coast. You got these big tech companies that move into a place and take it over, and you can't buy a house. They are shacks going for millions of dollars.
Living in a van, hashtag van life.
And Kristen wants to live in a van, but she's not hardcore enough to go through with it.
Or tiny house.
Well, yeah, I'd be okay with a tiny house. I don't think I could do a van, but my fiance has vetoed both, so.
Well, you know,
I thought you were a strong, independent woman.
if you want to live in the Bay Area in a tiny house, there's some good news for you.
Is there?
Google is
Yeah.
pledging $1 billion to tackle the Bay Area housing crisis. I mean, how cool would it be to live in a Google-designed, sleeping pod?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what they'll do here though when they start developing this land is they'll just pack as many tiny little houses with no lawns or anything, just as close as possible, so they can fit as many people in, and then be like, look how many people we're housing, and then like have a nice news article about
But here's
them.
the thing.
And still charge a ton of money.
They're going to lease land to developers. And I wonder what the time term of the lease is.
20 years.
I mean,
we don't know.
You move into a house, but Google technically gets it back someday?
I'm given to understand that's how things work in England, I think. Or at least maybe just around London. It's like everything is leased on a 99-year basis, and actually somebody else owns the thing. Is that a thing? I don't know.
Once again, I don't think we should adopt those policies. That sounds like a terrible idea to let Google control the land. That is serfdom
Yeah,
in
oh my gosh,
every
it is.
sense of the word.
Can you imagine if James Damore was, leasing a house from Google, and it's like he lost his job, and then they're like, "Get out." No, sir, please. I have some
Don't take my
independent
house.
thoughts.
I just started a carrot plant.
Facebook introduced the Libra.
Yeah, Libra.
Did I say introduced it?
Introduced it.
Introduced
It's
the
fine.
Libra.
It's fine.
And what was the wallet called? I've immediately forgotten.
I don't
Who
remember.
cares?
Zuckbucks.
That's what it should be called.
Calibra, I think.
Yeah.
And they're real excited about it. And a lot of people are, I think there's going to be a fervor to get in on that on the ground floor, right?
We've got so many stories about this.
Because people are looking at Bitcoin and they're like, oh, I want to get in on Libra when it's 25 cents and it's going to be $10,000. But guess who doesn't like it?
Europe, turns out. Facebook token runs into instant political opposition in Europe. French finance chief says it cannot be a sovereign currency. And Germany's fervor sees Facebook becoming a shadow bank. So a lot of people in Europe are like, wait, Facebook is doing its own cryptocurrency? What? No, we need to stop this. I think Facebook's a little late to the party here. If they'd done this in 2009, no one would have cared.
Yeah.
So, of course, you might ask, what's the difference between this and other cryptocurrencies? The difference is these people know that Facebook can do it, and it'll be in everybody's pocket, and it could actually work. It's interesting.
Visa's on board.
Visa, PayPal, MasterCard, several of like Uber and
The big shadow banks that control everything, they're on board.
they might be, but maybe only because they know they can control this one. Have you seen what Italy is looking at doing? Italy's like, we've got all this debt, so we're not creating money. All right, relax. We're not creating money. We're not doing a parallel currency, but we're going to do these other bonds that are outside of your control. We're going to pay our debt with those bonds. And
What could go wrong?
Europe is responding the similar way to them. But I remember there was an American politician who was on, giving a speech or something, and he was like, we can't let Bitcoin happen because they're trying to take away our control of the currency. And it's like, oh, they're so honest sometimes without reeling. It's like, yeah, that's the problem.
if you ask them, it's like, why do you do this? And it's like, is it to control the currency? And they're like, no, it's not. That's not why at all. And then
it just threatens our control of the currency.
Yeah.
As the Fed gives a speech and moves the stock market to all-time highs, like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have that. That's a bad thing. You know what else Europe hates is Fortnite.
It's true.
Fortnite makers grilled by MPs over game safety. They think it's addictive and it should be banned because it's so addictive. It's like, look, it's pushing buttons inside children's brains. We don't know what's happening. Get it out. Get it out of here.
This really speaks to how we are viewed as, like the low opinion given to people. It's like, we got to protect these morons because they don't know what they're staring at a screen, and basically it just controls their minds. They can't help themselves.
These MPs obviously never grew up with Nintendo.
Oh. So they're saying, yeah, it's addictive and somebody needs to regulate it. Now, here's the thing about it. They went to, what's the name of the Epic? Is it Epic?
I think so. That sounds right.
Epic owns that, right?
Yeah. Or no, EA?
No, EA does not.
It's definitely Epic.
Oh, that's the next story.
They went to Epic and they were like,
spoiler.
We want information about how long people are playing Fortnite.
Oh, yeah.
And how much money they're spending. And Epic was like, well, I don't know anything about that, which is the deepest of bullshit. Of course they know.
They're like, the game's not addictive. And it's like, well, I mean, it probably kind of is, but like, have some self-control. Like,
oh, look, so is coffee.
Yeah.
They did say, it's like, when pressed, they were like, well, we do give parents the ability to control that. And it's like, well, if you give parents the ability to control that, then it's being tracked somewhere.
But it's a free-to-play game. They're tracking everything about it because they want to know how it's being monetized. They absolutely have that information. So that is not genuine. Both sides of this argument are assholes.
Am I the asshole? All assholes here.
Augmented reality is it's one of those technologies that has not caught on, but magically still think they have what's going to change the world. Who's to say? You know who else thinks they have what's going to change the world? The Chinese, who are stealing it from them.
Secretive Magic Leap says that ex-engineer copied the headset for China. This is a press release that is probably going to set up the defense for, oops, we spent all the venture capital and we don't have any money anymore. That would be my guess, anyway.
Now, this guy did work there.
We had so many of these this week. They didn't see it. It was
Bloomberg's like, no.
Yeah, you need
none
a subscription.
For you. This guy worked there, and then he left and founded a company in China which made a very similar looking AR headset to the Magic Leap. And a lot of the software was very similar, down to they used whales. Remember the whale demo?
Oh, yeah. Where
the whales were swimming in the gymnasium? Well, this guy's demo also has whales in it. And Magic Leap is like, that's suspicious. So this guy says, like, when I was working at Magic Leap, I just saw what amazing, like, this is going to change the world. And I thought, I can do this too.
And now
exactly
China's
the
doing
same, in fact.
Well, it's not exactly the same, but it's quite similar.
Pretty similar.
For purposes of copyright, let's say that it's just different. No.
Well, like China doesn't care. Yeah. He might as well be Huawei. He's on the list. We have, I don't know if we actually played the video here, but we've talked about I think it was Conan O'Brien he's done several of them at this point, where he does that bit where every local news station says the same story in the same inflection with the same cadence and just overlays them over each other, and it's incredible, and it shows that the news is absolutely scripted. Well, not just in America.
Samsung's auto email signature accidentally reveals a scripted government news story. So this was to do with Mohammed Morsi's death in Egypt. It's like supposedly he collapsed in a courtroom full of people, and it was totally not suspicious the way that he died. Completely 100% 100% above board.
Natural causes.
Yeah, but it was scripted, and there's not a lot of details. In fact, it's the same 42-word story? Yeah, they sent to all editors.
So how do we know that? Well, everybody reported the same story, but this young lady, when she was reading it,
she Ron Burgundied it.
Ended up with sent from a Samsung device.
Yeah.
So.
Oops.
That moment of, oh crap.
How long do you think it took her to realize?
Probably instantly, though, in Anchorman, He literally like goes about his day, and everyone's like, "What did you just say on the air?" And he's like, "What? What are you talking about?"
She didn't know.
It's a good plot point. Good movie.
New Zealand massacre has led to a lot of terrible things, a lot of draconian laws, a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of arguing. But arguably, this is one of the most extreme things to happen based on that.
Man who shared a New Zealand mosque shooting video has been sentenced to 21 months in prison. Philip Arps, a Christchurch businessman, sent the video to 30 people. Now, he also said some things that
this is
probably not
misrepresented
smart.
a little bit.
Well, they mentioned...
Why don't we read... Well, I guess we probably shouldn't, but he has some pretty extreme views, I would say.
He wanted somebody to put crosshairs and a kill counter overlay on it, like a video game.
Yeah.
I don't know that he sent that with the video. It was just reported that he said that to somebody. Either way, he got nearly 2 years in prison for sharing a video online. I mean, think about that. Take all the other stuff out of it and just brass tacks. This man shared a link and got 2 years in prison.
That seems problematic.
Oh, wait. Cam.com.
He's going to prison forever. They're probably just going to kill him.
Now, some people who worked overtime after that shooting were the Facebook censors, because Facebook was adamant that it get taken down immediately anytime it was uploaded. And it was thousands of times they had to deal with it. The AI probably got some of them, but as we found out, there are buildings full of people just dedicating themselves to this. And what we're finding out now is that's a bad job.
They were on it in 30 minutes.
This article was just atrocious.
It's very long.
It is long.
It's from The Verge. The title is Bodies in the Seats. It's talking about how Facebook censors are not in a good spot in terms of mental health because Facebook has outsourced all of the moderating necessary for violent videos, and it's really messing up some people good.
It's not even just mental health, though. Like, there was someone who keeled over of like a heart attack in his desk.
Yeah.
They had no health services.
And where they are is so hard to get to that it took the paramedics like 20 minutes to get there, which in a metropolitan area seems like a lot.
I don't think it's hard to get to. It's that it's in an industrial park, and this business is just one of those little, like, pop it up and throw it in an empty building somewhere, and we don't have signage, and we don't have walk-ins, and it's literally just a closet to lock people in while they look at horrors. So the ambulance couldn't find it.
This also talked about the bathrooms, which I thought, I'm always going on about how terrible American bathrooms are, but it seems to make the link between if the people in an environment have terrible mental health, the bathroom is in a very bad way. And all of a sudden, I understand America a little bit more.
So yeah, these people are just, they hate these jobs. One guy talked about watching people kill pets. And
There's a lot of that in this article.
Yeah, and reporting it, and then being told, well, we reported it to the cops, but they're probably not going to do anything because the cops don't have time to deal with that kind of stuff. And
but they'd have to watch it over and over because it kept popping up in their feed because people were flagging it.
Now, I agree that this is a terrible job to have, but I think who they really need to blame is that one guy. You know what I'm talking about? That guy that breaks into their bedroom every morning and puts a gun to their head and says you have to go do that job. Do something else for a living.
It's easy for you to say, Ryan. These people
it's killing you?
When you need the money because otherwise you're out on the street, I kind of get it. They're paying $15 an hour, which in Florida is like unheard of money. So like I can kind of see how like you might get caught in that like financial myth of like I need to stay here even though it's literally killing me. But I mean, it's they have the free will, but like I can understand how the draw of the money might keep you in a job you don't like for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, that's okay. A job you don't like, sure.
But this is actually terrible.
Watching lizards be smashed on a sidewalk all day long.
Engagement challenge? Are you in a job that is killing you?
You don't have to ask for that.
Almost everyone in there.
That ease. So, Washington Post. No.
We noticed you're blocking ads.
So this is about YouTube. There's actually a lot of stories about YouTube this week. And it turns out that the feds have admitted that they are investigating YouTube because they think it violates children's privacy. And Google's approach to this in the past has basically been don't ask, don't tell. It's like, it seems like there's a lot of children using the platform and Google by default tracks everything. So if at some point Google figures out, is this a kid, do they stop tracking the kid, or do they just not ask? Or what's going on with that?
I don't know.
Well, they probably have some sort of easily dodged checkbox or something on your registration, right?
Yeah, it's like I'm above the age of 13,
right,
but not really.
And if you don't check that, then you're not going to be able to watch certain content. So the kids are going to check it.
Yeah.
And there's no determining what that person is.
But also there are problems with the fundamental way that YouTube is set up, as the Wall Street Journal tells us. It's like YouTube weighs major changes to kids' content amid FTC probe. So like some of the changes here, like turning off autoplay, because if you leave YouTube autoplay on, you get,
some weird, you've ruined your recommendations after that.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm going to leave autoplay on, and then, you're working and listening to stuff, and then all of a sudden something goes off in your brain, and it's like, what am I watching? This is crazy. Or listening to. Or
why would Peppa Pig do that?
So, yeah, they're going to change a lot of stuff, or they say that they're working on stuff. But also, that's the same series of events that led Sundar Pichai to say something curious. Google CEO has said YouTube is too big to fix completely. Now, that's the headline. It's a little misleading. What Sundar Pichai, he did say that, but what he means is that YouTube is so big that even if they stamp out 99.999% of the deviant content, that's still going to be tens of thousands of pieces of content.
I kind of agree with him. It is so big.
Absolutely. And it's up to you to take care of your children. Here's an idea. Don't give them access to YouTube. Block it at the router.
We still have public libraries. It's probably okay to turn your child loose in a public library, but not the internet.
No. If they go to the library, they might get a hold of a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh no, I'm thinking of the homeless people who are masturbating at the computers at the library.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a problem.
Well, that's a life lesson.
That's a terrible life lesson.
Yeah, but the earlier they learn, Twitch has had some issues. Now, Twitch definitely...
Speaking of porn trolling.
Twitch is the kind of place you would expect to be very heavy with child viewers, right?
Yes.
And trolling.
Geared toward younger people, which makes this a little more disturbing, I guess.
Twitch is suing troll streamers over violent videos and pornography. Yeah, so this is one way to solve the problem. It's like, we're just going to...
It's not, though. Because they're suing John and or Jane Doe 1 through 100. They have no clue who these people are.
Yeah.
This was all over the Twitch subreddit. People were like, have you guys seen this porn thing that's been up in IRL for like 3 hours? Where are the mods? And it had just been going for hours, I guess, at that point.
But also, okay, what are the odds or the number of instances, let's say, underage Twitch viewer, right, accidentally sees this porn or sees it and it's like, oh, porn on Twitch,
or an iguana getting destroyed on a sidewalk.
Otherwise doesn't have access to porn immediately on the internet.
Maybe that's going to be a plug-in. It's like you get when you click onto one of those streams, it's like constantly checking to see if you can access porn websites, and if you can't, it's like...
Oh, we're going to have to adopt the British porn filter?
Yeah. Oh, wait, that's foreshadowing.
That's not going to work. So I think if these kids want to see porn, and this is also true. Now, with the YouTube thing, it's kind of the other direction, right? Like, it's the kids putting themselves out there and getting creeped on.
I forgot to add it in. The UK porn thing?
It just got added today.
Oh, okay.
We're filming a little early this week.
So
because me and Wendell are both going to be gone again.
They decided the UK porn filter thing was a bad idea. They're not going to do it.
It's
how much money did they... That was done.
Yeah.
It's suspended indefinitely.
Yeah, because it's there were some problems with that rollout. It did not go according to plan.
Because that UI was terrible.
He says suppressing, maniacal laughter.
Yeah. Well,
UI was probably the least of the problems, but
you're not going to stop the steamroller that is internet porn. And these kids are going to have access to it, so that's your problem.
Twitch just needs to make a separate category for it.
Well, they're talking about for porn, you mean?
Yeah, I guess that's the issue. Is it's sprinkled everywhere. Just make a category for it.
See, they can't do that because the advertisers will leave.
Yeah.
Couldn't you just say I'm authorizing my ad for these categories and not this one? Wouldn't that solve it? I guess they don't. The optics of Disney advertising on Twitch, which also has pornography, I guess.
It gets muddier, and that's why YouTube is doing what they're doing.
Yes.
So. Yeah. Of course, they could take these pragmatic approaches, but it's all down to the optics.
Yeah. That would look bad. Don't care if it's actually
it would be better if just, if you want porn, go somewhere else. But Twitch is expanding so much. It's like, why not expand that market too?
Krista, a white supremacist Nazi sympathizer didn't create a company in the 50s so that his great-grandchildren would have to see porn next to their brand name. All right? You're being unrealistic. I don't want to know, Anderson Cooper. I'm so tired of you asking.
Oh, this one was funny.
Yeah,
I couldn't decide what category to put this one in. It was all over Twitter.
Funny, sad.
Yeah.
But also goes to show you that you just... I can't.
Shame on you. Bella Thorne hits back at Whoopi Goldberg after The View host blamed her for nude photo hack. So we try to stay, this is level 1, we're all about technology. We try to stay as far away from The View
and
as
other
possible.
Entertainment news as possible.
And yet here we are.
That's not news, that's opinion. So if you don't know about the story, Bella Thorne was hacked and someone contacted her and tried to blackmail her with nudes.
Well, do we know that she just didn't get one of those spam messages that was like, hey, I've got your stuff? And then she was like, oh no, they've got my stuff.
No, I think they showed her.
They showed her.
Yeah.
Mm.
So in retaliation to that, which is kind of a good move because it's going to get out there anyway. I mean, you look at the past, they always get out. She said, screw you. I'm posting the nudes. And I'm going to, it's like, I'm going to own this. And so the ladies on The View felt that that was her fault for taking them in the first place.
Oh,
I kind of agree with Whoopi Goldberg though. Like the way she phrased it, was not so much like screw her for taking, but she was like, you have to understand if you have any kind of device that's hooked up to a cloud or anything like that, like it's inherently unsafe. So if you're famous, especially, and you're taking photos like that, you have to expect them to eventually come out.
Well, okay, but wouldn't you say lesson learned? And she probably won't do it again, but it's still sad that it happened, rather than saying, oh, she's stupid. Look at her. She's probably stupid.
You can't decide that based on
look at that
looks.
nose ring. Listen, I looked at those pics.
You shouldn't have. That's your disgusting, dirty old man.
And I'm just disgusted by the piercings.
Disgusting, dirty old man.
Otherwise solid, but yeah. I don't think that we can expect these young starlets to be that smart. That's not their value.
I don't think that they really care. Like, they care for the embarrassment and the optics, but beyond that, they don't care.
Her quote just went up. Probably just doubled.
I didn't know who she was until I saw the story.
Yeah. I read that name. I thought it was a porn star.
What does she do?
I don't know.
She was all over Twitter, and I was like, "Who's Bella Thorne?" And I clicked on it, and then found this article.
Oh.
That's it for this episode.
That signals the end of the episode. Oh, wow! It must be 4:00.
Getting all those emails from clients at the end of the day.
That's all my canceled orders because the market just closed. All right. Well, we'll be back tomorrow. This was government and social. Tomorrow will be business and I don't remember what the other one will be.
This week is weird.
It is weird.
It's also short. 33 minutes. We actually squeezed 33 minutes out of that lemon. We didn't have a lot of stories.
You guys are helping us make lemonade. The Patreon at patreon.com/level1. No.
That's a good segment. Bye. Hello. Today is Wednesday, June 26th. And we're here with more news for you to enjoy on this fine day.
Mostly business news?
It's rare that we'll be doing a business section that's all about Facebook.
Oh, what a treat.
Yeah, but this is the big story. A light news week. And this was overwhelmingly the big story because everybody's excited about Libra.
Calibra. I don't know.
That's actually very similar to the default font name in Windows, which
Calibra is the wallet.
Yeah. Facebook's Calibra is a secret weapon for monetizing its new cryptocurrency. The newly formed subsidiary will build Facebook's digital wallet. And if you missed the news yesterday, a lot of governments are real upset about this.
So,
especially Europe.
Libra is the cryptocurrency. Now, Facebook is going to create it, but they don't say that they want to control it.
That's this organization.
It's going to be weighted against a basket of currencies. Now, I don't think this is going to be
not really technically controlled. This is just a wallet company.
Yeah, so Facebook is going to own the wallet company.
Yeah. But you could totally take the spec and build your own wallet. That's a thing.
Yeah. So this company is going to develop apps and stuff like that and let you integrate your apps with Libra. And that's how Facebook's going to make money off of it.
You should scroll down a little bit so you can see some of the screenshots.
What could go wrong?
Let's scroll down.
So we can see.
For once, we don't have a paywall. There's some phones.
It's going to be so easy to send Eddie $95.
Here's some money for the month.
I'm sorry, 95 euro? Or
Take care,
no, that's
Heart.
Libras.
Libra.
There's another one that's like terrifying where it's like, thanks, Dad, for some money. I think, yeah. It's just like, can you imagine just sending money like they're like as easy as a text message?
You mean like people have been doing with Bitcoin?
I know, but it makes me nervous. Facebook makes me nervous.
I can't wait for the new wave of Facebook scams that's like, hello, dear friend that I have not talked to in 3 years.
Yes.
I'm currently traveling abroad and I have lost my wallet. Can you urgently please send me some money,
And
please?
that will definitely happen, and then we'll do an article about it like a year from now.
You know who this is going to be huge for? Facebook thoughts.
Facebook isn't really a thought platform.
Oh, it will be because, well, I guess Instagram will have this too because, you know, it's Facebook. Yeah. And you'll have a little Libra button right there on your Instagram and they can connect with you.
Yeah.
And give you money directly.
Yeah, see, because if Facebook, you know, you got your grandma on there. You don't want her to see your thoughterry. You do it on Instagram where it's a little more removed.
Now, if you are an avid follower of the Level 1 news, there may be alarm bells going off in the back of your head. Wait a minute, aren't there some countries that are becoming vehemently anti-crypto? And you would be getting a free cookie because good job.
Yeah, we just found out that you can get, well, they haven't passed it yet, but a proposed bill, 10 years in prison for anything remotely close to a cryptocurrency in India. And Facebook looked at that and said, hey, we're not launching in India.
Calibra wallet is not going to launch in Facebook's biggest market, which is India, because things have taken off in India. Remember, like the VPN thing, like they were doing the VPN, like the free phone service. They're like, in the developing world, we could subsidize better devices, or we could do this or that and the other, and make money on these, you know, nascent markets that are emerging.
Yeah, Facebook wanted to give them free internet. Remember that?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, thank you, Mr. Zuckerberg. We know that poison pill. And they seem to feel the same way about Libra. So, who knows? Who knows what will happen? I also did a thing with Amazon. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Amazon can't. Like, Amazon tried to outmaneuver them, and then it was just like, oh.
So, that's, you know, the foreign governments. We know the EU has already had their problems with the Libra. What about our government?
Rep. Maxine Waters has asked Facebook to pause work on cryptocurrency. They got to see the picture. The picture's amazing. She's just like,
she looks very
disappointed.
I have had enough of you, Mr. Zuckerberg. That's what that face
real tired of your shit, Mark. So yeah, she's saying that they need more time to look into it, figure out what's going to go on, what a risk it might be. So she's saying, please. No, with no weight of authority behind it exactly, but just saying, why don't you just stop doing that?
Put a pause on that. And they responded with, yes, we will be happy to answer any questions that lawmakers may have.
Yeah, right.
But we're not stopping.
Yeah, that's basically what they diplomatically said, shut up, you old bat.
That's the politician translator, or the business speak translator.
Huawei, as we have learned, has not been doing great since the Trump ban, and so bad that they came after Verizon, trying to, you know, collect some shekels from them because they're like, bro, we really pay us for these patents. And why would they do that? Why would they take that step? Maybe because of this.
Huawei says that the U.S. ban is hurting more than expected. It's going to wipe $30 billion off revenue. So
it's a lot of zeros.
It turns out that because the U.S. has taken this stance, a lot of other people don't want to do business with Huawei. So of course, it's really hurting the bottom line.
It sucks. It's like when the most popular girl turns against you, and then none of the other girls will hang out with you.
Didn't this happen? Is this the article that mentioned about ZTE? That was like the U.S. had a problem with ZTE, and then ZTE just disappeared.
But they were much smaller, so it will take Huawei longer to bleed out. But will they?
Now, I alluded to our previous story. Our next story in the previous episode, because I'm an idiot and I forgot which episode it was in.
I'm kind of horrified because I agree with some of these talking points.
I kind of do too, so don't feel bad. EA says they're not loot boxes, They are surprise mechanics, and they are quite ethical. So, yeah, he was talking about loot boxes before lawmakers, and the rep for EA, they've hired a brilliant individual, apparently, and they're like, look, no, gamers really like surprises when they play, and these loot boxes, it's a surprise mechanic, although he didn't use the word loot box.
Well, he's saying they're not loot boxes specifically.
Yeah, it's part of a surprise mechanic we've monetized.
I don't agree with any of that. I think they are loot boxes. I think they're horrible. I don't think they're ethical.
No.
But I do agree with some of the stuff he says about people have been doing business like this for decades.
Yeah.
There are a lot of products which you can buy only to find out after you open it whether or not you got anything of value.
Just like the Kinder Egg or a
collectible cards.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Now, people will argue against that and be like, well, you got a physical item with that, not a digital item. What is a video game?
Yeah.
Yep. It's digital. That's the world we live in. So, what is a Libra? That is value, right?
This is the first time that these items have been super popular, though, because, like, Magic the Gathering, it's like, oh, man, you get a Black Lotus.
Yeah.
Like, 7 people cared.
It was just the nerds.
Well, no, Pokemon cards, I would say, would probably be closer.
They figured out the formula. Like, whatever the thing is that pushes the button in your brain, they got to... And now it's mainstream.
Yeah. And so the problem is the nerds, they all had jobs. They could afford it. But now you've got people who are just, like they got 5 kids and they're spending all their money on FIFA boxes. FIFA was one of the big ones they brought up because the normies love FIFA. Maybe not in America, but international
very
normies.
Popular. Yeah.
Yeah. And so perhaps a group of people who have never experienced this before.
Oh man, I gotta get the jersey for my favorite player, so and so. It's like, yes.
We grew up with Magic the Gathering, so we got burned early on. And I was like, oh,
when you didn't have a lot of money to spend.
Wait a minute, I remember that feeling, but I also have this callus now, and so I'm not going to fall for that again. But then these new people are like, oh, shiny boxes.
This pack of cards had more than twice as many lands as it's supposed to have. This is a statistical improbability.
So, yeah. And the other argument that I agree with is they're like, hey, people like these. I think people do like them.
Yeah.
Because not only will people buy them compulsively, they'll watch people open them on Twitch.
That's what I don't... I never get that. I have like 400 loot boxes just from my regular playtime in Overwatch. I don't open them because I don't care about loot boxes.
People are salivating right now.
Yeah, well, they freak out when we're on Twitch and we play Overwatch and they're like, Krista, open your loot box. I'm like, why? I already have most of the skins I want. And they're like, just open them. I want to watch you open them.
Listen to that.
I wonder if what the contents of the box are determined when the box is created or when you open them.
Oh, someone did a post about that once. I think it's when it's
purely
created.
random.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it has to be because
there's event loot boxes.
Yeah, they do special events.
Yeah.
Like that.
The loot boxes that I had in PUBG have disappeared finally because I had to buy keys to open them, and I never did that.
You know what else is going to disappear? PUBG.
Rip. It was fun while it lasted.
Was it?
We had good times playing PUBG.
We got some endorphins from that.
Yeah.
You know what? We got endorphins from PUBG the same way people get endorphins from opening FIFA loot boxes. It's the same thing.
It kind of is.
We threw away our money. In return, we got some experiences. AT&T was under the gun from the government because they took a lot of money and they didn't build a lot of fiber. So they said, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to hire a bunch of people and we're going to build a lot of fiber. And they kind of did. But now they've met their government mandated requirement, barely. So what are they going to do?
AT&T cuts another 1,800 jobs as it finishes the fiber internet build-out. So this 1,800 jobs they're cutting is in addition to the 23,000 that AT&T has cut since December 2017. Now, they told shareholders they were going to spend like $23.1 billion this year because they needed to upgrade their infrastructure, and that was to keep the lawmakers at bay. They actually spent like $500 million less than last year, which was like $21 billion or $22 billion. So it happened exactly like we said it would, which is they're going to be terrible.
2 things you can do if you're one of these 1,800 people, right? They have a program called Follow the Work. The Follow the Work program, the way that works is it's like, okay, you're a line tech. We figured out that we have line tech jobs in Nebraska. So I know you live in Virginia, but you're going to move to Nebraska, right? So that's option A. Option B is you're a line tech, but we don't really need line techs. you're going to go to a call center. We're going to recycle you into a different AT&T job. Neither of them sound all that great, but them's the breaks.
I can't believe they've shed 27. It's not like do you live in America? Does your house have AT&T fiber outside? If the answer to those questions is no, they're not done yet.
Yeah, and also, I don't think these people should be surprised, because if you work for AT&T and something like this happens, you're like, man, I didn't think this was going to happen when I came to the Death Star. Do we not have a union
company
here?
Those rebels almost blew us up. One of these days, they're going to succeed.
You know, they're asking me to put myself in danger to finish these TIE fighters? I don't think that's right.
Are we the bad guys?
Windows 10, you have to say, as awful as Windows is, and you know, we all know the meme, they've actually been doing some interesting things lately. They got the Linux going into it, and okay, we got that whole software as a service thing. That's bad.
Yeah.
But then we got stuff like this.
Windows 10 yields more secrets. Microsoft plans to split the OS from the shell, and that sort of takes shape. So this is like the Action Center is becoming its own thing that can be updated independently of like the OS, which perhaps will make sense as like the one Windows kernel will run on tablets and desktops and all kinds of other stuff. It's going to give them some Mac OS-like functionality in terms of portability for apps across devices.
Augmented reality. Maybe on a smart TV. Can you imagine having to have a TV with enough storage to keep Windows updated? And Windows is not the only one who are doing some core updates to their operating system.
Apple's first 4 iOS apps for Mac are getting an upgrade. Now it needs the most. Now it needs it most. Oh, I guess. Because they're going to
News is the app. News is the app that needs it most.
Oh, yeah, I can't read.
Sometimes, like, you read these headlines and, like, you realize halfway through that your cadence is wrong, and it's like, oh.
This story was not very exciting.
No, it's not. Mac OS, the thing that's exciting here is Mac OS is going to be able to run iOS apps, which is people have been asking for the better part of, like, a decade?
Well, no, it already could. It could run these 4.
Yeah.
But they were just the same garbage that you get on the phone. Yeah. So they're going to improve them.
And open it up where developers can run whatever. That's going to come with Catalina. So,
and now we move into the...
There's actually a lot to that, but it's fine.
We move into the security section of the program, in which...
Nothing is secure.
Every story starts out with something terrible and ends with just patch
it.
Just install the patches.
Oracle issues an emergency update to patch actively exploited WebLogic flaw. So this screenshot is of somebody running a command to get calculator to run on the WebLogic server. That's how bad it is. So you need to patch like yesterday. If you haven't already patched, you already hacked.
Total.
Oh, sorry. Wendell.
Go ahead.
Wendell just wanted to include the story to crap on Oracle. That's all I had to say.
Well, total compromise. They can run whatever they want. So
neat.
It's real bad.
Thanks, Oracle.
And it's been patched. If for whatever reason you don't want to patch it, you can turn off some of these services to combat it. Not sure why you would do that. And the ping of death. We've heard of that before, right? It's when you reach out and you give those bad packets and you cause bad things. And now we have another example.
Sad sack. Linux PC servers and gadgets may be crashed by the ping of death. No, this is not a repeat from 1995. Yeah, so it's a sack. And this, on FreeBSD, it could cause a denial of service because it causes the kernel to do some stuff that takes a long time for it to do. But on other machines, it will actually cause a crash. So patch. This goes back like 10 years.
Fills up a buffer or something with those acknowledgement requests. So probably won't do any lasting damage, but super annoying.
Super annoying.
Especially if you have a website running on that and you're not paying attention.
Speaking of denial of service attacks.
Yeah, we talked about the robocalls, and I didn't get a lot for a while, and then last week I got like 5 in a day. So I don't know what weird calendar they're running on. But we learned that most of the time it's an annoyance, but sometimes it can be worse.
The robocalls are overwhelming hospitals and threatening a new kind of health. So this was a hospital in like Chinatown or somewhere, or one of them that they looked at, and it was getting so many calls that the switchboard couldn't keep up with it. and it was like some sort of robotic voice saying that it needs to know who you are or you're going to be deported, which if you're calling a bunch of numbers in Chinatown, maybe you would scare a Chinese immigrant that lives in Chinatown. I don't know. But the hospital couldn't function because when it's like, hey, you need to come help in surgery, or we got somebody in the OR that's, or
bleeding out from a gunshot wound.
It turns out the hospitals really need their phones to work right. And so this is effectively a denial of service for the hospital because they got a lot of phone numbers.
4,000 in one day is what they got. What if there was like a concerted effort that everybody contacted the Washington Post all at once?
Just to get rid of that. We noticed you're blocking ads.
It's like, can you tell me more? I just don't understand, and just waste their time. When you browse on the internet, you are being tracked. And
that's why we run an ad blocker, because it crashes.
If you don't think you're being tracked, load a bunch of tabs. Load like 20 tabs from news sites. And you will see the level of tracking that's going on. And now that's the kind of tracking that we know about. That's in your face. It's just smacking you. It's like, yes, I'm looking at everything you do. If you go to these websites, I'm here. You can't stop me. But there's a more insidious way to do it now.
JavaScript tells all, which turns out not to be so great for privacy. Side channel leaks can be exploited to follow you around the interweb. So this is things like, what's your screen resolution? What's the window sized to? What's your color depth? What plugins do you have available? What are the other parameters here? And so instead of it being, are you, it's, hey, what's the user that has this browser configuration with these footprints that takes this long to calculate this value that does this, and the other thing. And then it's like, oh, that's probably this person, because when you look at all those different variables, probably only one person has one computer that's exactly like that.
And they talk about Tor, which Tor comes bundled with a bunch of different stuff, right? Yeah. And because you're running all those different plugins in that configuration, that puts you in a much smaller list of people.
Yeah.
And then they can just take a couple of extra pieces of information and narrow down to exactly who you are.
A lot of bundled Tor browsers disable JavaScript for exactly this reason, because it's too easy to fingerprint the machine, even if you don't necessarily have a unique identifier that you can immediately get.
But Tor, they might have changed their minds, but I remember back in the day, they included a script blocker, but they wouldn't enable it.
Yeah.
Because they were too afraid that the normies would go to websites and was like, what's going on here? This breaks the internet. Because, most sites don't work without JavaScript, which is sad. But you got to try to reach out and get the normies, We know about that. So
we know about that, but we're really bad at it.
We've been trying.
We try. We're not trying. Yeah, so we try a little bit. It's just, the last thing we did that was supposed to appeal to normies was a puppet show about Intel. So
I don't know why they didn't love that.
I don't know either. I liked it.
We tried.
When you are on Facebook, you become a number. You have a Facebook ID. And people can link to that.
What a dark future if that becomes your social security number. It's like, I need to get my pension. What's your Facebook ID?
It's like your Department of Corrections number. And the problem is, you get one of those IDs even if you're a child. And as we've learned, you're not supposed to track the little children. Because when they have an ID, something bad like this can happen.
The U.S. government has leaked the names of child abuse victims by failing to hide their Facebook IDs. So these are court filings that have been redacted. They contain the minor's initials, but not their names. But it contains their full Facebook ID. And so that ID, anybody, you can just plug it in at the end of Facebook.com and figure out what identity that is. So this seems like an oopsie.
A pretty major oopsie.
They actually
it's not
have
even Facebook's fault. It's the court system.
Yeah, they have this whole guideline about when you are submitting court documents. Did you de-anonymize all these different things? And this is in there.
Or anonymize all these things.
But I'm sorry. And whoever did this just simply did not. So these poor...
They probably didn't think about it. It's like, who on earth could convert that number back into an identity? And it turns out anybody on the public internet could do that.
Well, they didn't think about it, except there's this document that says, hey, think about this. Make sure.
Listen, you just sign that and just move on. It's fine.
It's like the
lawyers understanding technology. What sort of parallel universe is this?
It's like an end user license agreement. That's what we've come to.
That's terrible.
The other thing that we've come to is the end of the episode.
It's very short.
Is it the end of the episode? I just got back from a thing, and boy, are my arms tired.
21 minutes.
That's not bad.
Well, it's pretty short. That everyone will be like, "Oh, but it's so short." don't like so short.
Friday we will have possibly an even shorter episode.
It's got nonsense. We'll probably goof off.
Robots and nonsense. Robots and nonsense are two of the more popular.
They are.
These are shorter because I'm off gathering even more content for you. And we had a behind the scenes video that I posted on Patreon for the trip to LA. And so this is going to be the trip to Hawaii, which is for the upcoming launch thing that's happening on 7/7. But I can't talk about it. Can't talk about it.
Are you going to get laid?
Hello, today's Friday, June 28th, and today we're talking about robots and nonsense. Our two favorite sections. They do, usually.
Robots and artificial intelligence, because that is a robot, right?
I guess, sure.
Yes. I'm deciding right now as the head of the Robot Council. And when we talk about artificial intelligence, the big name right now, what is it, Krista? Yes, that's right, it's deepfakes.
I was going to guess, now I've suddenly lost it, Boston.
Oh, the Boston Dynamics.
Yeah, like with their dogs. Oh, that's who I always think of.
Also a valid guess, but then I alluded to the AI part.
Boston Dynamics plus Google's AI engine. It's literally Skynet.
So we remember the Mark Zuckerberg deepfake we talked about. The one thing about the Mark Zuckerberg deepfake is the voice was not quite there, right? The voice was not robotic enough.
It's hard to capture his cadence.
So how do you deal with that? There's a solution.
A new deepfake algorithm allows you to text edit the words of a speaker in a video. So yes, that's right. The software has gotten so good that you can just, it's like, here's a transcript of what somebody said. Change it however you want. It's like, cool. And it just handles it.
There's a catch. It requires, I can't remember, was it 40 minutes or 40 hours?
It requires a lot of data. I think it was,
40 minutes.
40 minutes.
So you're not always going to have 40 minutes of good training video. Now for a public figure,
more is better.
A public figure, you're going to have no problem with that, right? Although if you get them in different videos from different angles, you might have a problem.
Yeah,
for us, that would be, people would have no problem doing that to us, right?
I didn't want to go there, but now we're there. So
we're there.
Yeah, we're not important enough for people to do that.
No one cares.
We should be happy if anybody deepfakes us, because it means somebody cares. But yeah, so if you want to change speech, then you train it and you edit text. That's all it takes. You want to subvert an election? Text editor.
I was gonna say, like, how long before people, like, mainstream normies pick up on the possibilities of this, and how many people will have their careers ruined because a deepfake video gets released? We're
at like sea level of deepfakes, and we're heading toward Kilimanjaro type disruption. It's gonna be amazing. Interesting times, as they say. Photoshops, Krista.
Mm-hmm.
An expert like you can sometimes tell because of the pixels. But you're no longer needed.
Not for this. Adobe's experimental AI tool can tell if something's been photoshopped.
You can tell by some of the pixels?
It can tell by some of the... I imagine, too, I wonder if it can tell filters, like for Instagram and stuff. I guess that wouldn't be too hard.
Well,
probably the similar principle.
It looks for... the distortions, and because it's built by Adobe, it knows how certain things are applied, so it also looks for those patterns.
So did somebody just shop her jawline there? Because I'm having a hard time seeing the difference.
She made her jawline thinner.
Look at her lips. Like, she's kind of smiling here, and then she's more, because they've shaped it.
I guess. That's so subtle.
And then,
clients ask for that all the time.
And then they took this, messed with this. I think they smoothed it because it's a little more masculine over here. And here it's rounded. Oh, they can't see that. Oops. Yeah, and then, it's easy. I can see how the AI could tell in this picture because all these colors are on there.
That one's really... well, and the circles help too.
That's actually probably going to be a thing because we talk about like the adversarial AI, like you put the holographic sticker with the banana. One of the next features of neural nets is going to be, or the software is going to be, all right, AI, walk me through how you deduced that. And it's like, here, pleb human, have these colored overlays so that I can...
Well, that's the other thing. It can undo it in some cases. Not 100%, but good enough to kind of show you what the original might look like. How do we know that this thing works? Well, they took experts like Krista, and they showed them the pixels. Their success rate, 54%. Basically a coin flip, right? AI success rate 99.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Bad news for the Instagram thoughts. Good
well, they
news.
mostly use filters. Some of them do Photoshop, though.
Good news for the orbiters.
Actually, it could be good news in a way for the Twitch thoughts because they can have real-time video, like a video feed editing thing where it's just like fixing everything, like de-aging them.
Oh, I was thinking Instagram, but...
Oh, yeah.
Because then that's just photos. It's easier.
Yeah, but are you going to... If you're an orbiter, you're a beta male who wants to give them money, are you going to run the pics through this thing first to make sure it's real?
Because that's what you want out of that relationship, real.
What if you're a beta male that's just the most amazing gifted programmer and like you start giving them these tools and then it just sort of spirals out of control?
They're still never going to acknowledge you. Doesn't matter what you do.
Right.
Well, we looked at the...
but will you remember?
We looked at the headline for this story, and I remember making the comment, there's no way that's real.
Yeah, we were like, this may be a nothing burger, but it's not.
It's kind of real.
Upgrade your memory with a surgically implanted chip. Now, before you get super excited, this is mainly the Army for people with traumatic brain injuries.
And you have to be epileptic and already have a sensor in your brain to do this.
And it's really precise what they do. Whenever they detect that you're searching for a memory, they blast electricity into your brain. That's how this thing works.
But it does work.
Super precision. It works. The percentages were not crazy. That was like 14% in one test and 37 or something in another one. But, and the way they test this thing is they just gave people lists to memorize. And then while they were trying to conjure them, blast them with some electricity. And it kind of worked. The idea is that's going to give it that extra power to form new pathways.
Appears to be working.
Why not? I imagine, like if you refine this 10 years from now, would you get the implant?
Yes.
If it was like 90% increase?
Oh, yeah. No question. I would probably get the implant for like 10% increase.
Just for memory?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know if I would.
It probably won't cause brain cancer later.
Yeah.
What if you remember just all the bad stuff?
Oh, that would be bad.
Suddenly those night terrors really kick up.
The best thing about night terrors is not being able to remember them after an hour or two. So
it makes perfect dream recall, but you just have the worst, most horrific dreams.
It's gonna be like those guys we were learning about from Facebook on the last episode. It's just like no,
you just dream of killing lizards all night long.
No.
Oh, Tesla has announced a truck.
Oh wait.
And people are excited, and I think people are arguably more excited about this one.
Simone Giertz has transformed a Tesla Model 3 into a pickup. You've probably all seen this.
This has been all over YouTube. Even if you're not on YouTube that much, it's on the front page. It was trending forever.
The cinematography on this video is just incredible. Like they just think on a different level out there in Hollywood or wherever.
Well, when you have enough money to not only film the video but also take apart a Tesla for funsies, it's a little easier to hire a nice cinematographer.
But here's the thing, and I hate to be the downer, the Debbie Downer, but that car, look how low it sits.
Yeah.
A lot of people pointed out that it would probably be almost completely non-functional.
And then when you load down, if you put some gravel in the back of that thing, is the suspension really beefed up to handle a load? Yeah, you're going to be dragging the ass of that Tesla all over the trail.
It's not road legal either, I don't think.
It's a pure PR stunt.
4 bags of cement and you're done.
But hey, we got a charismatic girl who's had brain surgery, so
gotta upvote that.
Can't
not upvote that.
Yeah.
She could literally just be like, "Look, I put a screw or a spoon on the end of an electric drill." It's like upvote, good for you.
It is kind of true.
But it is really awesome. It's like how do you go from a spoon and an electric drill to that? I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Now they did point out that the Tesla, once they started cutting away that back end, the rear, it was not structurally sound at all. So if you're thinking about doing this yourself, just
don't do it.
Beware.
Or at least go to a body shop that can do something to fix it.
If she gets hit from the back, I mean that's just gonna crumple up like thin tin.
Yeah, well, unless they've welded something in for that.
They did. They added it, but still, something tells me that rack they had in the back would just become like death projectiles.
Is that a roll cage? Like, can we get that roll cage certified?
No. That's Elon Musk will personally have you killed. We've talked about Flippy. Flippy was one of everybody's favorite robots, right? The burger flipping robot. And there was the one that made salads. There was the one that made stir fry type foods. A lot of kitchen robots. That seems to be one of the big things that people think like, what kind of robot should I make? We'll make one cook.
I hate cooking.
The worst part about cooking, Krista,
is the cleanup. Robotic dishwasher saves restaurants from drudgery.
So I didn't really understand this story 100% because it's a robotic dishwasher, but don't we already have dishwashers? Like, wasn't that one of the first inventions? Like, I'm pretty sure even the school cafeteria had some sort of robotic machine where you would load trays of dishes, and then I could hear them violently shuffling about inside the machine, and it's just, and then they came out clean on the other side.
The difference here is this dishwasher is actually observing the dishes after it's done.
Make sure they're actually clean.
Right, yeah. And it has sort of like a magazine or a cassette that you load and take in and out of it. So imagine you could have a bunch of those.
Isn't that like a regular dishwasher with more steps?
Yeah, I mean, it's a scaled up dishwasher.
Okay.
I'm not arguing that. But your dishwasher, I mean, I'm sure everybody has the experience. You put something in the dishwasher and you should have rinsed it and you didn't, and you get it out, and whatever that was is just now it's like carbonized onto your plate. And no amount of scraping will get rid of it.
The bigger question is, would you buy your McDonald's from a Terminator? And I think the answer is yes.
McDonald's, I don't care who sells it to me. You know, as long as they're clean. Unless they got earlobe spacers, I'm done. I'm just skipping.
Ryan's really not about those.
If the entire kitchen staff were, like Terminator-style robots, they could literally just, bake everything at 400 degrees at the end of the shift, and it would disinfect literally everything. Just flame that whole thing, and nothing would survive.
Just like Krista. Get it?
Was that a drug reference?
Bake everything.
Oh. Yeah.
Boaty McBoatface. Everybody had a good laugh about Boaty McBoatface. It definitely wasn't overexposed. But we forgot about it. And yet, it's out there, it's doing things, and it's a robot.
And telling us horrible, horrible things.
Boaty McBoatface makes a significant climate change discovery on its first mission, the very first mission of Boaty McBoatface. So, of course, this is the boat named by the internet, by an internet poll. Let's name the boat via an internet poll. What could go wrong? Boaty McBoatface.
Well, they wanted to name the actual boat that was carrying him that, and they changed it to being named after Attenborough. So then they were like, well, we'll call the sub Boaty McBoatface.
What it discovered, and hold your breath here, it discovered that the water is a different temperature when you go down the depths. And when the wind blows, sometimes the warm water gets mixed in with the cold water.
So
shocking.
The cold water is warmer than expected. Global warming, we're all going to die. That's the conclusion, right? Oh wait, no, I'm filling in some gaps there.
Yes. Literally, what it's telling us is if we don't vote for Joe Biden, everybody gets cancer.
That's a bit of a leap.
No, have you seen The View? We've talked about some robotic fish here on the Level 1 News, and some of them were really impressive. Some of them could swim really fast. They had different kinds of propulsion. This one is none of those things.
This robotic fish is powered by electronic blood that can swim for 36 hours.
How fast can it swim?
Very slow.
1.5 lengths of the fish. That's, it can swim that far and then another half in a minute.
Well, look how cute he is.
That's all he is.
So he's not even going to fight against the current, is what you're saying.
He's not going to do anything.
But look at him go. Don't you shit on him.
Look at him barely go. Look at it. It's imperceptible.
Good. He's a great fish. Shut up.
If you know your fish is that slow, why would you make the video 5 seconds long? Because he makes no forward motion.
3 days. But it can run for 3 days.
They think.
Well, at that speed.
Yeah, they haven't actually.
They haven't tested it for 3 days yet. But I don't know. Okay, 3 days later, what is it? It's going to be 20 yards?
Yeah. What? In perfectly still water. So it's basically going where the current takes it.
I don't know. revolutionary thing about it, I think, is the way that it moves, which is it flips its little tail with.
It is watertight silicone, whatever, which is interesting.
Yeah, and well, the way the robot blood, as they call it, is some sort of, I guess, hydraulic function. Anyway, you go read about it. It's a robot fish.
Just read the article. Don't listen to us.
The video game industry, now, I don't think we've covered any of it, but there's been a lot of backlash against crunch in the video game world.
Yes.
We found out that GTA, for example, is basically just like every byte, there's an ounce of human blood that corresponds to creating that. So Nintendo actually recently pushed a game back because they were like, okay, we get it. We're not going to...
It's not ready.
We're not going to do the crunch. We're not going to abuse our employees. So you have to wait another half a year for the game. And people were like, no, we don't want to wait.
Really? I saw a lot of people praising that. They're like, I'd rather it be ready when it's ready.
It was probably 50-50. And so when something like that gets a lot of news, what happens?
U.S. presidential candidate Bernie Sanders supports video game workers unions. Oh, come on, Bernie. Come on.
Are you feeling the burn? Do you feel
the
it?
young kids love the video games, Bernie. Like, I hear you.
Are you going to feel the burn if you have to wait till 2021 for Cyberpunk?
Isn't
it put back that far, or is it 2020?
Well, it will be when Bernie takes over.
The other thing that's not unionized, which is very surprising, is the visual effects industry, which has kind of some overlap in the gaming industry in terms of like some of the programming and visual effects and that kind of thing.
Sure, yeah. Now, I don't know, though, like, because the game companies are so different and so many video game companies are so small.
Yeah. It's like two guys in their basement.
A lot of people chasing the dream. Of course, was it EA? They laid off a bunch of people, and one of the programmers was like, wow, they paid Ninja more in 2 hours than I make in a year, and they laid me off. That's got to sting a little bit.
Yeah, we did that. Sell more games?
His labor, yeah.
Did it sell enough games to retain that programmer?
Also,
who worked on the thing?
If you are fighting to get the programmers paid, are you not cutting that off on the other end by doing the loot box nonsense? Are the programmers benefiting from the loot boxes?
Is it reasonable to expect a game company to be able to make 17,000% profit?
I don't know. Maybe people should stop buying video games from horrible companies. Maybe that would do something.
It does feel a lot better buying indie games.
Maybe if Cyberpunk wasn't like number one on the Steam list when it's not even out.
For like a year.
That's the problem.
Isn't it coming out for like a year? It's like a year away.
It's a while.
April, yeah.
That's almost a year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's the problem.
You get hyped about something like that when you don't know hardly anything about it.
But Keanu.
But the thing about it is, no one's ever experienced that before, so they have to get burned. Oh no, No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky was disappointing. I've heard it's better now, but I haven't revisited it.
People were so excited for that. Our fans bought us a copy of that, and then they were like, "Oh my god!"
He was like, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done this."
He spent like 120.
We love you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think he bought himself one too.
Yeah, he got a refund on that one.
Like, oh, so disappointing. We talked about the amazing research coming out of China. China produced all this research and it was like, look at these amazing things we've discovered about the human liver. But then some people asked some questions like, hey, China, how did you get all these livers? Where did they come from? And China was like, shut up.
China is harvesting organs from detainees, a tribunal has concluded. And levity aside, I can't help but notice certain parallels between this and the video game industry. No, I'm just kidding.
I think being organ harvested is a little bit worse
different
than
having to work an 80-hour week. But yeah, so the Falun Gong, which is I think like an anti-communist type.
Well, it's a religious.
That's the that's the other one, right? The Muslim.
Falun Gong I think started as a religious movement, and they thought when it got too big, it opposed the communist ideologies.
But they also have that Muslim minority who are being targeted here,
and Christians, and
so
Tibetans. And
you go now. We don't know this for sure. But a lot of people in power and a lot of doctors are saying, oh, yeah, this is happening. Now, they did have a girl who was imprisoned in China, and she talked about some very weird things that happened to her, like weekly blood tests.
Which she told them she had hepatitis, and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think she did. That was very smart.
Yeah.
But not only that, being rounded up and given x-rays and MRIs. It's like, why would a prison do that? That's expensive, right?
Huh.
So, yeah, between this and the liver data,
a lot of livers.
Doesn't look good.
Kidneys, too. The article mentions something about kidneys.
You only need one of those to live, so you can just take one and
I
pop them back out.
I don't think they just get one organ from you when they organ harvest. I think they take them
all. You get
all.
everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
what a great deal for the person who needs the organs.
You use every piece of the cow, Krista.
Oh.
Technology companies are in the crosshairs, and they know it, and you can smell the fear, and you can also notice it when they say weird stuff like this.
Tim Cook says the tech companies need to take responsibility for the chaos they create. Now, of course, this is maneuvering. He is pandering is probably not the right word.
Well,
but
he said it at the Stanford graduation ceremony, so
he's talking about Facebook and social media companies, like, these social media companies are creating chaos. But he also had a reference to there was a couple other things that he had a reference to. I've forgotten.
You need the memory chip.
I need the memory chip, yeah. But it's a little bit disingenuous because, Apple is doing a lot of things that are not super ethical either. It's just different ways.
Are you sure we're talking about the same Apple?
They stood up for, citizens' rights against warrantless seizure because it was in their business. Like, everything must be aligned in their business interests.
I bet they've got a rainbow-colored apple on their website right now, and that makes up for everything.
Tim Cook is using this opportunity to try to destabilize some of the control that I think that Facebook and Google have of people and their data, because Apple wants to be the Google or the Facebook in terms of control of user data, and it's not right now.
And it's not on track to be that. They're actually losing on every front, right? I mean, there's only there's only so many $5,000 computers you can sell.
You know how you could rein in the chaos? Control. Even more control. The Apple walled garden. Even more control of devices. No device upgradability. $6,000 Mac Pros. Control.
I would say the best way to rein in chaos is to hunt down Xenos and heretics. Got a smart TV? Bet you feel smart about that, right? Maybe you shouldn't.
In a tweet, Samsung recommends scanning its QLED TVs for viruses. So these internet-connected viruses, it turns out they may be horribly infected.
The weird thing about this is they have this hidden and like 5 menus deep.
Yeah.
But they do have built-in malware scans. How often do you think they update their...
The most recent OS has malware scans, probably because the older OSs were getting malware.
But they're virus dictionaries. How often do you think those get updated for TVs?
Not very often.
So they have...
Why does my TV have... Like, what sort of dystopian future are we living in? My TV's mining Bitcoin.
Yeah, they have these bespoke operating systems and browsers and stuff like that. So they're probably not very well secured. A lot of people figure that out. Bad times.
Can you imagine a future where, like, all of the computational resources of planet Earth today lives in a device like a television, and it's like, hey, TV, I want to watch some Netflix, and it's like, no, I'm sorry, the U.S. Cyber Command has co-opted me into attacking the Russian power grid. You're just going to have to wait on your Netflix. And it's like, oh, okay, thanks, TV.
I guess I'll just watch a DVD then.
No. An old school DVD.
DVDs will not be legal. Everything will be a service.
That'll be bad for me because I have quite the collection.
No, you cannot own copyright material as a citizen. You lease it on a per view basis.
Of course.
From the
drink verification.
The cloud.
Everybody gets the chip implant in their brainstem so that it knows when they're viewing copyrighted material. There is no way to escape the system.
Oh, Snapchat.
Snapchat
has powerful filters. And you think to yourself, man, that's just a gimmick. Well, I beg to differ.
I don't know. You want to do this one?
A male student uses Snapchat's gender filter to pose as an underage girl online and allegedly caught a cop.
Look at this.
So this story,
they have the gender swap. It's so good.
This story is a little weird. Like, this male student is just like, I'm going to catch a predator today, and it just so happened it was a cop. Like, that's the whole story.
He did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he did it, Reddit.
Snapchat's gender filter for the win.
It is actually surprisingly good. The only thing with, like, if you're a guy doing the girl filter, your hair, like, the hair is not very good, but he cropped it in such a way here that you can't really tell.
I want to make a joke about that one guy being so jealous, but I can't think of his name. Chris, the Catch a Predator guy.
Hansen.
Yeah, Chris Hansen.
The joke, the moment's passed.
Oh,
I can't believe I remembered that.
Why would you take that away from me? Here he is. Here's the guy.
He's in county lockup on a $50,000 bond.
So they got the chat here, which they seem to have printed and photocopied.
Yeah.
But he says, "Wait, you're only 16." It's like, is that a problem? It's like, yeah, it might be a problem. Spoiler alert.
It wasn't a problem.
Not for him at the time.
Oops.
Oh, bad news. Here's the thing about it. I am staunchly opposed to the drug war. I think, you have the right to do whatever you want. And I know that Krista agrees with me. But, Krista, when you enjoy drugs in your home, it's not okay to give them to your pets. Never.
Squirrel?
Squirrel attacks police officers after being fed meth.
Now,
was this in Florida? I don't remember.
I read this and it was like, this really happened, and then it's like, maybe the squirrel, like, this is an excuse for them subduing the squirrel.
No, I could see someone being dumb enough to do this.
Alabama. Oh, it's Alabama!
Oh, man. They're
Alabama
taking the heat off Kentucky.
God, so many hits from Alabama. Now, here's the thing about it. I don't know if you guys read this all the way through. What is the protocol for dealing with a meth-addicted squirrel?
Animal control?
Release it into the wild.
Oh, no.
They just set it loose.
It's illegal to have a pet squirrel in Alabama, I guess. So,
but surely you could take it to like a wildlife refuge where it could at least have 48 hours to detox before being released back into the wild, all paranoid.
Vet observes.
Yeah.
Something.
That's got to be a roller coaster ride. Can you imagine the stories he's telling the other squirrels? And they're like, "Bob, that's bullshit. You didn't do any of that."
I was trapped in this metal cage and there was this monster there.
And then I felt really good for a little while. Then I felt really bad. We hear a lot about Google causing people to turn into rivers and, go down streets that don't exist.
Google Maps.
Stuff like that.
Turn right off a cliff.
But it's almost never an immediate threat to your life when you make one of those decisions.
Survivor story, a floating log saved him after Google Maps said, take the C shortcut. So
this is so stupid.
I wanted to figure out where this is, but this guy, Google Maps was like, hey, if you swim across this channel, it's a shortcut. And it legit was a shortcut, but he got sucked into a riptide.
But in what world, when you're like saying, if you're even just using walking directions, and it says, hey, cut across this and swim, it's like, no, I think I'm just going to take the bridge. It's like a mile up.
Well, no. Here's the thing. They explain that. So this guy was traveling with his brother, and they had some sort of conflict. And the brother just put him out of the car. So he was 80 kilometers from his home. The shortcut took 25 kilometers off of that trip. He was going to have to walk all the way around the body of water. So he was like, yeah, here we go. When do you say you wanted to figure out where this is? It was obviously in a Poitiki and Cabral.
Yeah. It's like,
and the Bay of Plenty.
So I think that if that had been here in the U.S., Google would have just been like, nah, man, don't try it.
And he took a selfie, though. Look, there he is.
Turns out his iPhone's waterproof.
Also,
which saved his life.
This is Otago. It's Co-NZ, so it's, I guess, New Zealand.
Somewhere in the Pacific.
This guy, this is the best thing about this story, is it's a commercial for Apple. Because that iPhone was in his pocket the entire time.
Yeah.
And stayed watertight.
And he
like
actually called for help. After 3, can you imagine after 3 hours being like, I guess I need help?
Well, he found the log. He was like, all right, I'm just going to keep going with this log. And then when he lost all sight of land, he was like, I think I should admit that
I've failed. This was maybe a mistake.
Which shows maybe the mental fortitude of these island people, whereas like your average American,
just like, nope.
They would stick one foot in the water and be like, this is cold. 911.
Or why not just walk around?
It's like if you're in Jersey and it's like the fastest way to New York is to swim that way.
Krista, you didn't read this article because He was literally...
No. But, like, I understand that. But it's still, like, why would you not... Just walk it. Like, you don't know.
Is
you
Uber
can
not
make
a
that
thing?
swim.
He
Yeah,
slept-
or call a taxi, or
He slept on a beach and ate a dead fish that he stole from seagulls that were eating it on the beach. He was a desperate man.
Call an Uber?
Well, if he's eating trash out of it, like, I don't... He might not have had the money for an Uber.
He was
all the same, just walk it.
He was rescued by a random jet skier.
Nice.
Instagram influencing. That is the hot new thing. And it seems like how many major Instagram influencers are there? Because every week a new one pops up.
I don't think there's really that many. Like, I couldn't name one, but I just see them everywhere.
Well, these guys are apparently, benefit. I don't know if it funds their entire lifestyle, but they don't work.
Well, they also mentioned in this article that the mom's working 2 jobs to support them. Instagram couple slammed for asking people to fund a cycling trip.
Now, for whatever reason, the New York Post doesn't have any pictures of these people.
The Instagram feed didn't work.
And it is very important that you see them.
I didn't realize.
Just take a look at this fellow here. How do you feel about that?
He's got a lot of face tattoos. And it's funny because, like, his look screams gang member, but when you actually read the tattoos, most of them are actually kind of nice.
Well,
like,
it's like that housewife decorator stuff, like live, laugh, love is the kind of stuff he's got, which is weird. So this fellow and his girlfriend, let's find a picture with her in it. Oh, here they go. These two wanted to take a tandem bicycle ride. How romantic is that, Krista?
It would not be very romantic. Having tandem kayaked with my fiance, not romantic. It was fun, but let's just say we have a disagreement about how fast the kayak should be moving.
Oh. Okay. Well, so these two have decided they're in Germany. They wanted to tandem bicycle to Africa. They figure that's going to cost about $11,000 US.
Well, obviously, you just go on Instagram.
That's what they said. Oh, GoFundMe, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want the GoFundMe, and they say, hey, why don't you go with us, they're saying. No, not physically.
Don't actually come with us, because that would be
No.
weird when we're, like, making out
Yeah.
in the middle of the desert.
We'll take some pictures and video and post it so you, sitting in your cubicle, can vicariously enjoy our carefree lifestyles where we don't work and get our faces tattooed.
This is sounding dangerously close to reality for us.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't think about the parallel there. Patreon.com/level1.
There's no tandem bicycling going on here.
Yet. If that's something the patrons want, we'll do it.
Now, if you haven't already seen the comments here, people didn't take well to it.
No, not at all.
And there's some hilarious reading if you want to check out this Instagram. The people, like Krista said, in defense of themselves, they were like, hey, my mom's going to pay for most of it, so you shouldn't be complaining.
The mom apparently works 2 jobs, and they're like, she's really struggling right now.
I'm sure she is.
And it's like,
That's a problem.
I'm sure, well, it's Germany, so she doesn't have this option. But if it weren't a, freedom restricting socialist country, I'm sure she would come home every day and stare at a pistol and be like, should I? I mean, I'm kind of trapped here with 2 useless children. Anyway, just another point of...
it really is the definition of a nonsense story.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're going to...
It can't really be that. Let me peel back the linoleum. Oh,
no, it's worse.
They're going to take a 30-day break from social media and rethink some things. Like...
Maybe just
how to
save
get
up your
their
money.
They don't have any money. They don't have any income.
Well,
What
that's
are
what I
you
say.
going to
You
save
get
up?
a job, save up, and then take a year off.
Yeah,
and do
he's going to
this.
get a job. Doing what?
With the face tattoos, I'm not sure.
He could maybe be a carnival worker. Maybe.
he could probably run that hotel in John Wick.
If he did anything that was like behind the scenes where he never had to interface with the client, he might be able to get by.
You think he has any assassin skills? No, he has no skills. When you remake a video game, a lot of people get upset if you aren't true to the original, right? Krista, you know they completely redid all of the Spyro games?
I know, I've played them.
Oh, really?
Not all of them, but I've replayed one of them.
What's your review on that?
That was pretty good. I mean, it's literally the exact same. Like, the maps are all the same. Everything is the same. Just better graphics.
But graphically, much improved, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't,
Now,
like, burn your eyes after staring at it.
When
for
it
so
came
long.
to Spyro's proportions, were they the same?
Roughly, he was a little less pointy.
Yeah.
Compared to the original PlayStation 1.
Higher polygon count, probably.
Yeah.
Well,
definitely. Flame effects were nicer.
No complaints there, but Final Fantasy fans might have some complaints about this.
Oh, they're remaking Final Fantasy VII, and Tifa's chest size has been reduced per a Square Enix ethics department request.
Here it comes. You ready?
That's before.
Boom. They were right there in your face.
They're not that big.
Very.
I didn't know who this character was.
Very pointy. Look at her comically oversized anime eyes.
Oh.
Also, toned down in the current version.
I thought those look reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, still generous.
She's wearing a sports bra though too. I mean, that's gonna.
Well, she's an athletic girl.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I don't think this is that bad.
A lot of people are upset. It's probably fine.
If the worst thing you have to like worry about in your life is the size of some anime titties, you need to get over yourself.
Can you imagine being on the development team for Final Fantasy VII? It's like you're reimagining like this epic world of Final Fantasy VII, and all these fans are like super counting on you to do stuff, and then that email comes in, and it's like,
or
really?
The one guy on the team, he's usually almost suicidal, but for the last 2 months, he's been like just on cloud 9. And he's got these giant boob renders all the time. And they come up, it's like, listen, Steve, I got some real bad news.
Why does it matter?
Why does it matter? What do you think is the audience here, Krista?
Weebs? I don't know. Speaking of who's the audience? Who's the audience for this?
I think, Nintendo fans are ecstatic when they get cameos in other places for the Nintendo characters, right?
Yeah.
Get how I use the word ecstatic there?
I had missed that, but that's pretty amazing.
I thought I had to point it out.
Ecstasy pills shaped like Wario have been seized in Japan. They're like Flintstone vitamins, but horrible.
Well, I think they probably.
They kind of look like it. It's like that same.
I mean, they feel pretty good.
Like somebody put a lot of work into that.
Yeah.
I mean, they made a mold. They probably put a lot of work into the mold, and then they just, did the thing.
This guy was coming from Spain, and he had a lot of these. And they went to his house, and he had some weed and stuff too. So with the Japanese laws, the drug laws,
oh, that's bad.
We're never seeing him again.
That's bad. He's gone. Yeah. He's gone forever.
Was it worth it?
Probably not.
I
kind of doubt it.
He probably didn't even get to use them. He was just a mule. But so yeah, unfortunately, if you're thinking to yourself, God, I'd love to get some of that Wario ecstasy, you probably won't ever have.
What if that's one of the defense mechanisms? Like, no one on Earth would bother making ecstasy look like Wario. I mean, surely.
Yeah, but what else could you say it is?
Why wouldn't you make Mario?
Like some kind of like vitamins or something. There was Flintstones vitamins.
They do kind of look like. I think the picture looks like a vitamin.
Well, it
looks like a Flintstone vitamin.
You make these with a pill press.
Yeah.
I know this because I watched the documentary about this.
Because you do pills.
You buy the MDMA as a powder form, and then I think there's like a binding agent or something mixed, and you have your own pill press and you press them out. So
today we learned. Do you think they taste like I bet they taste like that orangey tart flavor that Flintstone vitamins.
No, I don't think you let them dissolve in your mouth. I think you just swallow them, right?
Flintstone vitamins you bite, or I did.
Well, ecstasy's different.
No, I think they're about the same.
Can you imagine if they flavored it?
Please no engagement challenge.
Someone probably will tell us in the comments, like, actually.
One of the YouTube stories we mentioned, people from YouTube were like, we're going to experiment with hiding comments by default because those are genuinely terrible and we can't do anything about those.
Look at this.
50 count bags. Crazy.
Those are actually pretty good size.
Yeah, well, listen.
When you see them in comparison. That'd be a sizable vitamin.
You want to get all that ecstasy in you all at once.
Sort of crazy.
I want Flintstone vitamins now. They don't make those for adults.
No one has ever craved. When I was young, my mom got me Pac-Man vitamins.
Oh.
And those were, first of all, you know what Pac-Man character they look like? The dots. They were just these big horse pills. They tasted terrible.
Did they have like that? Like you bite into them and they were kind of like
chalky.
Chalky. Yeah, I like that. An orangey.
Well, why don't you just get sweet tarts?
No, it's not the same.
Doesn't have
I prefer the vitamin. I buy gummy vitamins now. That's the only adult ones I can find that are appropriately childlike.
If you eat a whole bottle of Flintstone vitamins, there's got to be a bad level of something you're putting in your body.
You'd probably pee most of it out, but you might have some bad
The kidneys
side
would
effects.
just burst into
Withering.
flame.
Yeah, you'd get a stone. Get
Oh.
stones.
It feels like somebody punched me in the kidney. That's your kidney crying for help.
Yeah. Just have China take it out.
All right, we squeezed 39 minutes out of that lemon
You're welcome.
Woo! All right, we'll see you next week.
on a regular schedule. Maybe sitting down, maybe standing up. Engagement challenge. How do you feel about us standing up?